Hey folks, BlackCross here, and wanted to do another deep dive into gaming video. This one involving one of the very few, and I don't mean any insult to Nintendo or anything like that, nothing towards them at all. It's just, there hasn't been many games that literally says that I absolutely love the series, you know. I mean, I'm just right now recently starting on, like, the Legend of Zelda series, and I'm not much of a fan of Mario for that matter. But there was always one series that stood out the most for me whenever I first got into it, and I have to say, after getting into the series to begin with, the entire series has been full-out fun, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Pikmin. So, right off the back, a lot of people who are looking at this video and looking at the title and everything like that, they're looking at it as if I have lost my complete freaking mind. Considering the fact that I've always been like a Sony fan guy. I've always been a Sony fanboy. My favorite game is, of course, Kingdom Hearts, and then from that, being that of Dark Souls and Bloodborne. So that is a little bit an odd transition. And then going into Pikmin. So, admittedly, that is kind of weird. But I wanted to kind of talk to you about the Pikmin series, and so, like, how I got into it to begin with, and then what I felt about the series, and, you know, what I like about the most, and then moving forward into the future, for what I see doesn't look so interesting. But, at any rate, though, so Pikmin has been kind of like this one game series that people have like mixed reactions of, and in my case it's more towards a positive feedback. But originally the game first was developed after a showcase demo of like multiple Marios on screen, and I can't remember what the title of that demo was, but it would eventually transpire to be created towards Pikmin 1. So the ideal concept was to control a total of 100 AI on screen and to push out its limitations. And basically it was to show the power of the GameCube. And for what it was supposed to do, it did its job, in my personal opinion. But for years, I had never really touched it, mostly because I didn't know if it would be a game that I would be interested in or not. So the Wii U comes out, and then Pikmin 3 gets confirmed and gets released. And automatically Delmar picks up the Wii U. I can't remember when he got it. I want to say he got it for a Christmas gift, but I can't remember when exactly. I want to say it was like either the same year or a year after it first launched. And then Pikmin 3 came up right along with it. So, one day, it was my day off, and Delmar was fixing going to work, and I was like, hey Delmar, you care if I try out the Wii U and play Pikmin 3, you know, see what Pikmin 3 is all about? He's like, sure, go ahead. So, I start Pikmin 3 up, and, you know, it goes through the introduction of, like, what happens and everything like that. The three guys land on a planet, they get separated, and one of them encounters the yellow Pikmin and stuff. And, of course, that just transitions to the main portion of the game, where you're basically collecting through and getting the red Pikmin. And I can't remember... I know the red Pikmin, and I want to say that the rock Pikmin was also in it as well. So, the red and rock Pikmin were the first ones. And, all honesty, like, after getting through, like, the first part of it all, I started to kind of, like, enjoy it a little bit, you know, because it's like after getting through the first day and learning what exactly was needed to be done, you know, you're kind of going through the area and everything like that, and basically the main goal is to collect all these different fruits. And what you do with those fruits, you basically compress them into juices to where they can drink them, and the more juice you've got, the more you can continue on the adventure and expand the area and stuff. And once you get through, like, the first boss, the first official boss, which I have to say is pretty cool. I really loved that boss fight. That was really awesome. A good introduction to kind of let you know, it's like, hey, if you want to fight this guy, you're going to need to break the shell that it has, and then get to it. And it's like, wow, that's really clever. And then you get through it a little bit further on to Pikmin, getting all the different ones through either the yellow, the blue, and the flying ones. Then you get your other two characters there and everything like that. And it starts to kind of get into a little bit more of a interesting gameplay mechanic where you're using both characters, you're switching characters back and forth and everything like that. And one of the reasons why I felt like Nintendo destroyed the Wii U possibilities, like whenever the Wii U first came out, I didn't have high hopes for it, but playing Pikmin 3 is what made me have the idea that the Wii U was like one of the better systems that it had next to the Wii, which the Wii, it had the Wii motions and everything like that, which unfortunately was kind of like, the first year or two it was good, but then it kind of like faded out into obscurity. And then the Nintendo Wii U came out and featured in with this gamepad. Now, of course, this is Delmar's. This isn't mine. This is Delmar's. But, you know, you look at it and everything like that, and you say to yourself, you're like, okay, so it has a screen on there. Why? Well, some games tend to have certain mechanics that goes on with the touchscreen and everything like that. For example, for Wind Waker, it's a quick and easy way to get into your inventory and stuff. For some other games, it's sort of like an extra little component to use. Like Zombie U, you were able to use the touchpad for like the button keys and stuff like that. For I think one or two. One of them was like a shooting game, and you were able to aim with it and stuff. It was pretty interesting at the time. But it wasn't until I was playing Pikmin 3, and this was like, I want to say, towards like the last 75% of the game that I was playing it. The majority of the time I was collecting enough juice to help build up my inventory to where I can keep going on, and towards to get to the end of the game and everything like that, and I was restocking on Pikmin. But I found out an interesting mechanic that this game had that sort of like intrigued me to a point where I was like, this is really cool. And you can multitask with this gamepad. Like, you can, the map would be on the gamepad. It wouldn't be on screen, it would be on the gamepad. And you could actually scroll throughout the entire map, and you can like fix up your three individual characters with groups of Pikmin. So if you knew the area well enough and you saw like different fruits and stuff like that you were wanting to get, you could actually split them up into those different directions, and whichever one would stop at the point first, it would let you know, and you can go to that one first part and then get all the Pikmin fixed up to where you can get that one fruit, and then retreat back to the ship, and then go to the next character, do the same thing, and the third character do the same thing. And when they all get back to the ship, I mean, it created a function of like cooperating with all three characters and the Pikmin all together in order to expand the area and to get the most amount of efficiency put into one. And I was like, this is really cool. I really love it. And it really, really got me excited to want to play the other Pikmin games. So, Pikmin 3 was the first game that I played in the series. Did it ruin my experience? No. That's the weird thing. It did not ruin it. In fact, if nothing else, it got me to wanting to play the first and second one because of how well what's the word I'm looking for? Intended that the gameplay mechanic had it fixed up. It was sort of more of a strategy survival game in a way. Like, you were trying to go through the entire landscape, trying to get like materials needed in order to complete your quest or to make certain that you survive the longest, and you were able to go out the entire worldscape, you know? It just, to me, because of Pikmin 3, it made me encourage the Wii U gamepad. It made me encourage for the Wii U. It made it an open gateway for possibilities that the Wii U could have had. But Nintendo refused to use those functionalities and expand on that horizon, and instead they just dropped it. They just flat out dropped the Wii U like as though as if it was junk. They said it was no use to us anymore, we couldn't use it, so let's just throw it out in the trash and start fresh. Still to this day, I am still ticked off at Nintendo for doing something like that. The Wii U should have had more functionality. It should have had more possibilities opened up. Never was allowed to. It was never allowed to. But that's me saying it. That's my opinion. End of discussion. So, moving onward to Pikmin 1. I then decided to jump into Pikmin 1, which we had it for the GameCube. So I played it, and immediately I realized that there's a different settings. You know, obviously you have one character, which is Olimar. And, you know, as you play through the game, you only have a limit of 3 Pikmin. Which, that didn't destroy the quality of, like, compared to Pikmin 3, back to Pikmin 1. It didn't destroy it. If nothing else, that sort of made it a little bit easier to help myself get through it. But the world itself was still a little bit harder. For one, it was a new entire location entirely. Like, you're not familiar with the landscape and everything like that, so in other words, you're relearning new areas. The second thing is that there's a time limit. And by time limit, I mean in-game story, the max is 30 days. You have 30 days to try to get all your ship parts, get it put together to where it's functionable to where you can fly out of orbit. And the thing is, you don't necessarily have to have all 30 pieces. You just need at least, I think it's like 25 crucial ship pieces. And usually it would tell you which one is the most important and which one's the most sufficient needed, but not all of it is necessary. So, playing through the entire game, I was starting to, like, feel out for what Pikmin 1 started out being. And I really, really loved how the entire setup, the entire gameplay mechanic, I love the controller for the GameCube, personally myself, and it became one of my personal favorite games out there. So really, in all honesty, even though I played Pikmin 3 first, Pikmin 1 is my favorite out of the series. Just because of that tightness of, like, limit of days. And then you have the fact that every single time you play the game, you kind of have that little kid inside of you is like, can I beat my last time run? Can I beat it again? Can I beat it again? Can I beat it again? I don't know what the record is, but if there is a record, I don't see myself being able to beat it anytime soon. But I really enjoyed myself. The first time that I played Pikmin was the fact that I didn't get the last piece. I was unfortunate enough to get the last piece to where I beat the game, but I still beat it regardless with, like, the neutral settings, where you still got to launch up and nothing else happens. Second time I beat it, I was able to get the last piece with 3 days remaining. I was so happy with it, so that means I got to see the good ending. So, and I looked at that Gerard's review for Pikmin, and I have to agree that it would be kind of hard to not get one or the two endings. Is getting the failed ending is going to be like, okay, so in other words, just goof around for like 5 days doing nothing and everything like that. In all honesty, you know, because of how Pikmin 1 is fixed up, you know, you get used to the ideal of time crunching yourself. You know, you try to manage your time to where you can go out into the different areas, get all the individual pieces, try to manage your Pikmin team to where you have enough Pikmin saved up to where you can use them at your disposal. I mean, that sounds mean, I admit, but the game is made for that, so why not, right? Then, playing through Pikmin 2, story is sort of the same thing, but slightly different. Instead of getting ship pieces or anything like that, you're attaining random items to build up sort of like money inventory. And I think it's like 100,000, I want to say. At first I thought it was like 10,000, but it may be 100,000. I'm not quite sure, of dollars. That the company needs in order to get out of bankruptcy. So you go back to the planet with your partner and everything like that, and you go back there in order to get more pieces and stuff. And I think, yeah, in Pikmin 2, they inquired on 2 extra Pikmin. They have the purple one, which is the heaviest one, but they do a lot more damage. and then the yellow one being the lightest one of the bunch. I forgot what else that the white Pikmin do. But where the yellow used to be like the lighter Pikmin, and then the red one used to be the strongest one, the purple is like the biggest and the strongest one, but they're also the heaviest. And then the white Pikmin are the lighter ones. So, Pikmin 2 isn't bad. It's not as great as Pikmin 1 was, or as interestingly effective as Pikmin 3 is. So after playing through all 3 Pikmin games, I was really excited and I really enjoyed all 3 titles. And I was like, I really would like to see if they make another one. Because I was like, supposedly people were saying that Pikmin 3 was like the last one. And I was like, I hope that's not the case, because this series is so freaking awesome. I would really love it if they just created another one with a whole new character and stuff like that. You know, just whatever they wanted to do. You know, I would be up for it. But then I saw the most recent one that is being talked about right now, and the unfortunate thing is, it's being put onto the 3DS. If you haven't seen the trailer for it, I recommend typing in Pikmin 3DS and look the trailer yourself. But after looking at it myself, I was kind of like, no, this defeats the purpose of what Pikmin is, what Pikmin was created for. To control a huge amount of Pikmin and use them to your efficiency in order to complete a task and stuff. In this case, it's just a side-scroller to like branch to stuff like that, with like 3 Pikmin, it looks like. And it's like, why would you do this? Why would you make a series the way you make it now, and then just destroy the purpose of what it was made for, just so that it would work for a handheld? I mean, there are a bunch of games out there that you could easily do for the 3DS, and the 3DS has a large title of games. Almost as large, if not larger, than the 2DS. Or, not 2DS, the regular DS, the first DS. But that's just it. They just want to create more games for the handheld. It's like that you're destroying the main reason why you create console games. So it's like, I don't appreciate the fact that I get into a series that I absolutely love, and I have like full possibility that, you know, the company with this particular IP and everything like that could do something with, and then all of a sudden they just waste it onto like their handheld and it looks like absolute junk. And I know it's rude for me to say this, but for someone who's played the Pikmin series and who enjoyed what it was made for and everything like that, and then just to see what is going to be made for the next installment for the series, it's just, it doesn't work very well, I think. Like, Delmar was telling me that he's going to be open-minded about it, and he's going to be like, you know what, we'll just see how it looks. I'm not going to give high hopes for it, but at the same time, I'm going to see if, like, maybe it might be good. You never know. And I'm like, it's not going to be good. It's just not. You know? It's like sometimes Nintendo will have a great idea, and they'll roll with it for so many years, and then they'll just turn around and fuck up somewhere. You know? And Nintendo admits that they have their problems here and there, but they do it because they want to risk it to see what happens, what sort of effect will come out. You know, and for years they've always done like experimental projects and stuff like that, and they want to see what happens. You know, they're not always like the company that stays on one track all the time. They always want to try to expand into new different directions and stuff. And I can understand that, but when you've got like a reputation like Nintendo has, sometimes you don't need to risk stuff like that. Sometimes if you risk too far, you end up ruining your reputation, and sometimes that can hurt you. Like, it's hard for me to say what to say to Nintendo because they're as big as what they are, and they can pretty much do whatever they want. At this point, that's what they can do. But, personally for me, in my personal opinion, when it comes to Nintendo games, I will always look at Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. Those, by far, are like my favorite Pikmin games, and those are my favorite games of all time that Nintendo has pushed out there. Again, the only Legend of Zelda game that I probably played is like Majora Mask, which is good. And I'm wanting to play Breath of the Wild someday. When that day comes, I'm not sure. And I'm not even sure if I'll be able to do that in my channel or not, because chances are, from what I've heard, Nintendo's starting to be a little bit greedy on stuff like that. They don't want to show anything unless it's like Nintendo property-owned YouTube channels or whatever. But, yeah, I love the Pikmin series, and personally for me, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love the series so much, and I've been tempted of wanting to pick up Pikmin 1 again and play through it. But, however though, and I don't know how Nintendo would be about this, but I'm going to assume that I think Nintendo will be okay with me just playing through past games rather than currently new games. So, if for some reason you guys want me to play through Pikmin 1, let me know in the comments below, because I actually would not mind playing through Pikmin 1 again. You know, I mean, I've already played it like 3 times now. It's not going to hurt me to play a 4th time, so why not? But, yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I just wanted to kind of pour my heart out there for these games and just talk about them for a little bit, you know? I've really just enjoyed it for so much. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And remember, if you want to do a Let's Play of this one, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. This is BlackCross signing off. Take care, guys.